One of the biggest misconceptions I see people walking around with is this idea that you need to work your butt off in order to become successful, especially when it comes down to making a lot of money. And I think a large reason for this is due to the fact that we have so many motivational speakers telling us that this is the case. Take, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk, peace be upon you. I'm Pedro, so you can benefit from my research interests. Follow along to the end. Gary Vaynerchuk, who, don't get me wrong, is someone that I deeply respect, but he loves to talk about the fact that he didn't party or go out at all during his 20s. Instead, he grinded his ass off every single day nonstop for over a decade and built the empire that he has now. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to work as hard as Gary or nearly as hard as Gary. In fact, chances are, working that hard will actually do more harm than good. The truth of the matter is that this sort of work ethic is unsustainable. Anyone who does creative work or does competitive sports for a living can attest to this when we work our body or our mind. We undergo stress, and stress is good because it stimulates growth. That's how we get better, stronger, and faster. But whenever you undergo stress, you need to take time off in order to recover. If you don't give yourself enough time to recover, that's when stress starts to take a toll, according to Peak Performance, which is a book that dives into how certain people get to the top of their fields. The top performing athletes in the world are not the ones who work out and train at 100% every time they go to the gym. In fact, their training regimen looks a whole lot more like this. They train at 100%, going above and beyond for 2 to 3 gym days. Then they reduce the intensity and train it anywhere from 20 to 50% for another 1 to 2 gym days. And then they rest for the remainder of the days. They know how to train hard, but they also know how to let their body rest and recover. When asked why they do this, they'll tell you that this is actually the most optimal way to improve. This mentality of working hard and resting hard also relates to making money or growing a business. There's so many people out there that assume you need to work your butt off every single day to build a successful business, and that's far from the truth. I should know because I have a fairly successful online business, and to be honest, I work far less than most people that I know, but I make just as much, if not a bit more money than they do. You might be thinking, well, improvement pill, that's because you already have a large audience. Of course, you don't have to work as much, but the truth of the matter is that this also applied earlier on in my career when the channel was just getting started. The most I ever did was 2 videos a week. Each video on average takes me about 10 hours to do so. Most I was working about 20 to 25 hours a week on the channel. Sure, I could have done more, and trust me, I've tried, but I found myself burning out and losing motivation. Quite often it was simply too much stress. And in all honesty, making more videos per week wouldn't have helped the channel grow as much as you think it would. The interesting thing about business is the fact that it's strikingly similar to war. That's why there's so many business people who like to read The Art of War. An ancient book written by a very famous Chinese general, Sun Tzu, preaches about how it's not the amount of men you have in your army, it's about how you strategize and plan your moves. You could easily defeat an opponent with 10 times your army size if you simply outplay him, and the same thing applies to business. You could easily make more than someone who works 10 times as hard as you. If you carefully plan out how you're going to work, it's all about working smart, not hard. So how exactly do you work smart? Well, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you are actively consuming information related to your business or your craft. Look at other people's experience, how they found success, and learn from them. Read books, articles, and case studies so you can stay updated on different strategies that worked. Once you consume this information, you will have the tools needed to work smart available in the back of your mind. The second thing you have to do is to allow your mind to process this information. When it came down to growing my channel and my other business ventures, all my greatest and most successful ideas that either significantly grew the channel or significantly increased the amount of money I was making came to me days, weeks, and even months after I consumed the information. And funny enough, it was almost always in an environment where I was relaxing, whether it be at some sauna or on the beach or even nights out at a karaoke bar. See, when you're working and under stress, your brain isn't focused on being creative or thinking it's focused on working, it's focused on surviving in order to work smart and make the right moves. You must give yourself enough time off from work to relax and think. Let's talk about Gary Vee again. He spent many years building up his video series on wine. Nowadays, Wine Library is a well-known brand in the wine world, but if you look at the videos he made over the course of 10 years, it's basically the same exact thing in every single video. He didn't allow himself to relax and think about what he could do differently. Yes, he worked really, really hard and it worked. But if he worked smart, it's without a doubt that he could have built his wine channel to its current size in half the time, with half the effort. Now I want to make sure you guys aren't taking this the wrong way. I don't mean to say that you should relax more than you work. There is a balance that you need to maintain. And here's an example of what I mean. Whenever I have a new business idea that I think can make me more passive income, the first thing I'll do is to lay out all the steps I need to take in order to set this up. Once I plan it all out, I give myself a deadline, then I start to put it into work now. When I work on something that I know needs to be done, I work very hard at it until it's done. So oftentimes I'll work really hard for 2 to 3 days to get out a new video or to set up a new project. But once I'm done, I go back to relaxing and allow myself to think. I look at the results of my project, what's working, what isn't working, what could I have improved on. These are all good questions that you should constantly be asking yourself if you want to work smart. If you can strike this balance properly, you'll be able to pursue your dreams without getting overwhelmed with stress and burning out. So remember, it's not just about how hard you work. That's only a part of the picture. It's about working hard, relaxing hard, and also taking time to carefully think about what you want to do. Taking the time to see what you should change, what you should improve on. If you can strike the right balance, you won't burn out, and you'll be able to continue working towards your goals for a long period of times. In addition, support me with your likes. And don't forget to click subscribe so we can publish more.